Chamberlain first. What does Chamberlain say about this? Because there are folks who are making excuses. There are people who are saying this is somehow a witch hunt. The reporting before you came on is that Paula Reed over at CNN was getting ready to file some reporting of an alleged second encounter with an underage girl that involved an adult as well. And all of a sudden, he withdraws his name. What did Chamberlain have to say about this? And explain to our folks who he is.
So Chamberlain is a guy who's been a staunch, I guess you could call him Trump supporter with a very large following on social media, works for a bunch of different right-wing entities. And, you know, he did exactly what Donald Trump did. He called it a witch hunt. That's the word that he used. And I expressed to him, if it's a witch hunt, then why not release the report? Why are so many Republicans afraid to have this report released? And you're right, there's more and more evidence coming out that this, in fact, did happen. But it seems like Chamberlain does what so many people on the MAGA right do. They deflect. They blame Democrats. They call it a witch hunt. And then I had Joe Walsh on the show, who was a staunch Republican, still is a Republican, but an anti-Trump supporter. And he said what I said. You know, we're all not surprised that Matt Gaetz stepped down, but he didn't do it because he put the country first. He did it because he doesn't want this report to become public.
Yeah. Brian Shapiro, radio host over at Pushing the Limits, and interesting show. You get your callers and your the conversations you have with them, really amazing.
Thank you.
So there is, again, one would have to wonder that, which I've been saying, Brian, how do we get to this point? And who would have? I believe that Trump has squandered what some believe was a mandate within just 2 weeks of being elected by nominating these people, because not only do we have Matt Gaetz, we also have Pete Hegseth, which I'm going to get to later. And then you have, what's her name? Linda McMahon, who was over at the WWE. And there are SA allegations there that they are alleging that she knew it was going on with children, or somehow, it happened under her watch and they didn't do enough about it. And so you have those. And then you have RFK Jr., old tapes of him calling Trump supporters rubes and akin to, talking about how ignorant they are, and comparing him to the most, I believe, hated figure in modern history, and that is none other than Hitler.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the first. Of course, his own vice president has called him the next American Adolf Hitler as well. Don't even get me started with Pete Hegseth. I talked about that a lot on the show today, too. Of course, more revelations in that police report from years ago.
This is a Democratic congressman saying that he still wants this ethics report released, and then I want to get your response to it. Here it is.
Representative, you got what you wanted. Gaetz will not be attorney general. So tell us why you still want the world to see this ethics report.
So let me be very clear. The goal here was never to prevent Gaetz from becoming attorney general, although it would have been hideously inappropriate if somebody with the allegations against Mr. Gaetz were to be the highest law enforcement official in the land. The Ethics Committee was prepared to release this report in July. The only reason they didn't vote to release it was because we had a scheduling change in the House that they went home. The Ethics Committee was then again supposed to do this last week, and we pushed for a letter when they had the additional delay. All of that precedes the Attorney General discussions. What we have right now is a situation where a member of the House of Representatives has allegedly committed acts of sexual misconduct, including paying for sex with at least one minor child. And no workplace would allow that information to be swept under the rug simply because someone resigned for office. It matters for the integrity of the law, it matters for the integrity of this House, and it matters for the respect that we expect the American people to give us, that those of us entrusted with this job will uphold the United
States. Okay, so I want you to pay close attention to this, Brian, because tell me if you understand where the anchors are going here. They seem to not understand why this report should be released. It's kind of mind-boggling to me, but watch, keep going, play it.
United States is a land where all are treated equally under the law.
Thank you, Congressman. I do understand that, but I'm going to press you on it a little bit. I get what you're saying, I think, but first there's a precedent. You know, one of the things about the Ethics Committee is they try to do their job without making it partisan, so the Congress and the public can trust what they do. And this feels a little partisan. Let's kick the guy on his way out. And what is the public policy reason? It's just so to reassure people that the ethics committee did its job and here's what they found?
Well, let's talk about precedent. In 2010, Eric Massa, Democrat from New York, was under ethics investigation for engaging in sexual misconduct with his staff. He resigned, claimed it was because of cancer, claimed it was because of a health concerned about a health care vote, and the House Ethics Committee continued their investigation. What would be partisan, and again, Eric Massa was a Democrat, what would be partisan is if we were to decide that the Ethics Committee does not complete their work only when it is a Republican who is alleged to have committed the misconduct. So there is precedent here, right? And it matters to the dignity of this institution. How do we go back and look the people who vote for us in the eye and say, we hold ourselves to the same standards we hold you if we don't complete this work?
Brian, have I lost my mind not understanding because it should be released, don't you think? Especially if you want to be the Attorney General of the United States. Now, I guess they're saying, look, he's not going to be it, so why release it?
Yeah.
But quite frankly, he resigned. Let me be clear here. He resigned from the 118th Congress. He was reelected to the 119th Congress. So technically, he didn't resign from that. Maybe Matt Gaetz will come back. Who knows? But what say you?
Well, it's pretty simple, Don. If Matt Gaetz was a Democrat, every Republican would want to see this report. This comes down to politics. I agree with you. You're not crazy. I believe it shouldn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care whether you're running for an assemblyman or a mayor or a congressman, or in this case, the AG. It doesn't matter. The public has the right to know. And from what I've heard from this woman's attorney and from what I've seen and his behavior, it's unbecoming. And why Republicans continue to defend him is beyond me. And I think it speaks volumes of Donald Trump's ability to make decisions and why he would even attempt to appoint this guy to begin with, number one. And number two, Matt Gaetz is out for himself. He doesn't want this report out. My understanding is this report is pretty damning. And I believe it will come out eventually. It needs to come out. And quite frankly, any of the Republicans out there that are trying to make sure that doesn't happen or hoping that that doesn't happen are cowards, because they all know who Matt Gaetz is. Many of them have said it in the past. They know who Matt Gaetz is, but yet they were still willing to bend the knee to Donald Trump and say, well, I trust Donald Trump's decision making. It's pathetic and it's embarrassing.
Yeah. Do you let us know in the comments? Do you guys think this report should be released? Do you believe this report should be released? Before I let you get out of here, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into Pete Hegseth after you leave. Do you think that Pete Hegseth, do you think he's still going to make it, considering this police report that came out that we're going to discuss a little bit later on? A woman in 2017, the police report who came out, the police report came out with some pretty damning information that goes into detail about an alleged event or assault that happened back in 2017 in a hotel room, and there were witnesses who apparently witnessed it.
And by the way, some CNN reporters tried to speak to this woman last week, and then she started crying, and then didn't respond, because I don't think she can, because I believe she's in some sort of non-disclosure agreement. Do I think that he's going to be the next defense secretary? I'd say 50-50, Don. I think Matt Gaetz had worse chances, and we all know how that played out. I think it's 50-50 at this point. I think it's not just this situation. I think it's other statements that he's made, his behavior with women in general. I believe that, saying that, and I talked about this on the air today, that women shouldn't be serving on the battlefield. I mean, are you kidding me? I just think he said some things that are very bizarre, misogynistic in nature. You look at the way he's lived his life, the infidelities. As far as this, listen, Don, we don't know what happened, if anything. We don't know for sure. It's important to note that. But what we do know is this man has a past, and he doesn't have the most credibility in the world. If he does make it through, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's a coin flip at this point, and we'll have to wait and see what happens here in the coming days. We do know he was asked about it earlier today, and he just said, listen, I was never charged with a crime. I was cleared. Okay, that's great. Why did you pay her off? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I think it's a fair question. If in fact this isn't true, and we don't know, Why did you pay her off? Why is that a normal reaction to somebody that didn't do anything wrong? I'm just asking the question.
Well, listen, you sound like the folks on the right who do that, especially Tucker Carlson. But there are reasons that, quite honestly, there are reasons that people do it. Sometimes they think it's a nuisance lawsuit that they're going to pay less than what the court costs will be. The other thing is that he may believe that it would affect his reputation, which is what he said, and that he would be immediately fired from Fox News without due process. That's what his attorney said as well. And you know, where do you get your reputation back once you're accused of something like that? Go on.
The guy that's worried about his reputation, correct me if I'm wrong, is the same guy who cheated on his second wife with a woman that was a Fox executive at Fox News who he had a child with when he was married to another woman. And this is the guy who's worried about, his background. I mean, I find that to be quite interesting if that's his claim or excuse or whatever he wants to use. Look at his history and the way he's treated women his entire life, and I think it speaks volumes. I don't know whether he did anything wrong here or not. What I do know is the way he's lived his life and the way he's treated women. The guy has a history very similar to some circumstances of Donald Trump and the cheating and the misogyny. I think they go hand in hand. I mean, I think Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have a lot in common as far as personality characteristics.
Yeah. Brian Shapiro, radio host of Pushing the Limits. Brian, thank you. Brian, next time you come on, why don't you tell us how you really feel, okay? Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Don. I love you, bud. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.